Hello there, welcome to Let's Talk Criterion, an exclusive channel where we review and preview each new and forthcoming Criterion release. This week, we look at the 1923 silent film directed by Charlie Chaplin and starring Edna Purviance, A Woman of Paris, joining the collection on Blu-ray. A Woman of Paris is a unique film, one, because it's early in Charlie Chaplin's directing career, and two, because it isn't a comedy, but a dramatic film. Now, up to this point, Chaplin had been making mainly Max Sennett-produced short film comedies, 36 in all from 1914, before moving to SNA Film Manufacturing Company in 1915 to 1916. And then writing and directing his own films for the Mutual Film Corporation, forming Lone Star Studios from 1916 to 1917. He then went on to produce and direct and star in another 9 films for his own production company from 1918 to 1923. These were distributed by First National. In 1923, he made his first film for United Artists and moved to full-length features, and this period up to 1952 was his most prolific. It started with A Woman of Paris, and as I said, it wasn't a comedy, but a drama, directed solely by Chaplin. It starred Edna Purviance, and it debuted in September of 1923. Now, two things also put this apart from his previous work. It didn't feature him as his traditional role of the tramp, and indeed his role in the film is inconspicuous and not credited. And the other difference, of course, is that it was a drama, not a comedy. Edna Purviance plays the lead role of Marie St. Clair, one of Chaplin's reasons for producing the film. It was to help Purviance gain recognition as an actress without Chaplin at her side. Others were because he wanted to stay behind the camera and to make his first real drama. Despite his effort, Purviance did not achieve the level of success that she had in films with Chaplin's tramp at her side. However, the film did help Adolphe Menjou gain some recognition. The victim of an unhappy home in a small village somewhere in France, Marie St. Clair, Edna Purviance, plots to run away with her fiancé Jean Millet, Carl Miller, to Paris. Her stern stepfather, Clarence Gelder, locks her out of the house when he spies the couple sneaking away to discuss their future, forcing Marie to return with Jean to his house. But Jean's father, Charles French, and frail mother, Lydia Knott, are equally disapproving, and Marie, understandably consternated, thinks it best to leave. A year later in Paris, the incomparably wealthy ladies' man, Pierre Revel, Adolphe Menjou, has Marie, now a fashionable, lazy-kept woman, under his arm. Now, she has a glorious apartment, brimming with maids and fancy things, and she's visited by her young vivacious friends. That's Fifi, Betty Morrissey, and Paulette, Malvina Polo, who party constantly. Now, at times it seems as if the film will teeter into the familiarly comical territory of Chaplin's short subjects, notably, in fact, during a champagne truffle concocting sequence, an alcohol-infused celebration, or when, in a tantrum, Marie herself tosses her pearls out of the window into the path of a vagrant. But instead, it resists this temptation, remaining distinctly separate from the collection of other humorous Chaplin works. There's also an uncommon sexuality to the picture, with a striptease scene that definitely doesn't match Chaplin's other projects. He tells his story, as always, dryly and elusively. His characters seem to improvise, to make their points spontaneously, with a complete absence of screen consciousness. Yet the least movement of the finger has been minutely studied, considered, and rehearsed, and to Chaplin, the producer, the angle of a truffle dish, The fullness of a wine glass is a matter of intense importance. Even the detectives of fiction have not excelled his precision. He has made screen pantomime an exact science. He specializes in illusion and suggestion, the small hint of the vast thing unseen, and speaking with a new vocabulary in which inanimate objects, for instance food, furniture, clothing, all play a large and explanatory part. He believes in brevity, in the one-telling shot in place of the ineffectual six. He believes that each scene should be perfect and rounded as a whole, and he believes in economy. Take, for instance, the passing of the Paris train in the film. It is the turning point of the heroine's career, but we don't see the train. We only see the reflection of its lights moving across the station wall and illuminating the girl's face. And later in Paris, we find her in luxury. But no word is spoken. But when an immaculate gentleman calling to take her out to dine strolls into her boudoir and takes a large handkerchief out of a drawer, the relationship settles itself. And the dominant note of the film is struck in the three opening shots, which show, in approaching sequence, a dreary house with the girl's face pressed against an upper window. No, Chaplin wastes no words and no celluloid. The really important things happen off. His genius lies in the power to draw a character so vividly by showing its relation to everyday affairs that every member of the audience will supply for himself what's missing in that moment. Chaplin makes the spectator's imagination do all the work in this drama. Now, Chaplin and music associate Eric James created a score for a theatrical reissue of the film. Chaplin elected to trim the film. Approximately 8 minutes of footage was removed from it for the reissue version to further tighten the action. And the Museum of Modern Art held the world premiere of A Woman of Paris with Chaplin's new music soundtrack on December the 23rd, 1976. The reissue version was given a theatrical release in 1977. Now, critical response to the film, on the other hand, was very positive. It generally was praised as an outstanding film. The film had been credited with influencing later filmmakers as well, in particular the motivations and personalities of its characters, which had a complexity that was unconventional in the context of early 1920s American cinema. The historian Louis Jacobs observed that A Woman of Paris inspired director Ernst Lubitsch's The Marriage Circle, that's from 1924, which in turn influenced dozens of other films as a result. Following this, of course, Chaplin departed from the dramatic and moved into his trademark visual comedy, so apparent in The Gold Rush from 1925. That was his next film, where his tramp character delighted audiences all around the world all over again. So this lands on Blu-ray in the collection with a 4K digital restoration of the 1976 re-release version with uncompressed mono soundtrack featuring a score composed entirely by the director Charlie Chaplin. Other features on the disc include alternate score from 2005 created by conductor Timothy Brock, based on music by Chaplin, presented in uncompressed stereo. Introduction by Chaplin scholar David Robinson. New video essay by Chaplin biographer Jeffrey Vance. Chaplin Today, A Woman of Paris, featuring interviews with actor Liv Ullmann and filmmaker Michael Powell. Archive commentary about A Woman of Paris. That's a documentary by Arnold Lozano, managing director of Roy Export SAS. Excerpts from an audio interview with Chaplin's studio cinematographer Roland Totherow. Deleted shots from the original 1923 film. Archival footage. There are trailers. And of course, as usual, we have an essay written by the critic Pamela Hutchinson and notes by Brock on the score from 2005. And the cover art for the disc is by Thomas Pittides. Putting aside his little tramp persona, Chaplin's 1923 silent full-length feature proved that beyond being a comic genius, Chaplin was an artist of immense sensitivity and human understanding. A Woman of Paris has a running time of 81 minutes, and it's in an Academy aspect ratio, that's 1:3:3:1, and joins the collection new as Spine 1253. Next week on Let's Talk Criterion, we take a look at Choose Me, that's Alan Rudolph's comic and cutting exploration of the mysteries of human desire, which established him as one of the most boldly idiosyncratic independent filmmakers of the 1980s. It's coming to the collection on 4K UHD. So until then, from me, as always, it's goodbye, and above all, good Criterion viewing.